No one tells you this, but the more you chase someone, the less they respect you. Not because they're cruel. Not because they're heartless. But because human attraction quietly follows a rule most people refuse to accept. The person who is always available slowly becomes the person who is taken for granted. You've probably lived this without realizing it. You meet someone. At first everything feels natural. Conversations flow. Messages are exciting. They respond quickly. They laugh at your jokes. They seem genuinely interested. So you lean in a little more. You start replying faster. You start checking your phone more often. You start adjusting your schedule to make time for them. If they take an hour to reply, you reply in seconds. If they cancel plans, you say it's okay. If they become distant, you try harder. And slowly, without noticing it, something changes. The energy shifts. The person who once chased you now seems comfortable letting you chase them. And the confusing part is this: the more effort you give, the colder they become. People hate hearing this, but attraction doesn't grow through pressure. It grows through emotional balance. When someone senses that you need them more than they need you, a silent power shift happens. Not consciously. Not maliciously. Psychologically. In relationships, humans constantly read emotional signals. Who is more invested? Who is more afraid to lose the other? Who is adjusting their behavior to keep the connection alive? The moment one person becomes the pursuer and the other becomes the prize, respect quietly begins to erode. Because respect isn't built from effort alone. It's built from perceived value. And value, strangely enough, is strongly connected to independence. When someone sees that your emotional stability depends on their attention, something inside them relaxes. Not in a good way. They stop feeling the need to earn your presence. And when people stop feeling the need to earn something, they slowly stop valuing it. This is where many people unknowingly trap themselves. They think love is proven through effort. So they double their effort when things start slipping. More texts. More reassurance. More emotional availability. But the brain doesn't interpret this as devotion. It often interprets it as insecurity. And insecurity changes attraction. This is where attachment styles start revealing themselves. An anxious person responds to distance by moving closer. They try to fix the connection. They try to repair the emotional gap. They believe that if they show enough care, the relationship will stabilize. But when the other person has avoidant tendencies, this creates the exact opposite effect. The more you lean in, the more they pull away. Not because they hate you, but because emotional pressure triggers their instinct to regain space. And the anxious person misreads this distance as a sign they must try even harder. So the cycle intensifies. More chasing. More distance. More confusion. What most people don't realize is that attraction often lives in emotional tension. Not anxiety. Not games. But balance. When someone feels that you want them but don't need them, your presence feels valuable. When they sense that your life remains full and stable without them, your attention becomes meaningful. But when they feel like you're orbiting their existence, something changes. You stop feeling like a partner. And start feeling like a fan. And fans rarely inspire deep respect. Now here's the uncomfortable truth that both men and women struggle to accept. People are instinctively drawn toward those who appear emotionally self-contained. The person who doesn't panic when communication slows. The person who doesn't chase validation. The person who doesn't rush to fix every silence. That calm emotional stability signals something powerful. Self-respect. And self-respect quietly reshapes how others treat you. This doesn't mean you should play games. It doesn't mean pretending not to care. Real indifference is different from strategic silence. People can feel the difference immediately. True emotional independence isn't about acting distant. It's about genuinely having a life that doesn't revolve around someone else's attention. And this is where gender psychology becomes interesting. Many men are taught that persistence wins affection. They believe chasing proves loyalty. But excessive pursuit often communicates the opposite message. It signals that the man sees the woman as the prize and himself as the one trying to earn approval. And once that dynamic forms, it's very difficult to reverse. At the same time, women experience their own psychological conflict. They want emotional availability, but they are also deeply sensitive to emotional imbalance. When a man becomes overly accommodating, overly available, overly eager to please, the attraction they initially felt can slowly fade. Not because kindness is unattractive, but because desperation is. The brain reads desperation as low perceived value. And attraction rarely grows in that environment. The harsh truth is that people respect those who respect themselves enough to walk away from imbalance. Not dramatically. Not angrily. Just quietly. When someone stops chasing, something unexpected often happens. The dynamic resets. The other person suddenly feels the emotional space they once took for granted. The silence becomes noticeable. Your absence becomes measurable. And that's when they begin to re-evaluate your presence. But here's the part most people misunderstand. Stopping the chase should never be a tactic to make someone come back. If the motivation is manipulation, it eventually reveals itself. The real shift happens when you stop chasing because you recognize your own worth. When you realize that attention given freely should not require constant pursuit. When you understand that relationships should feel mutual, not like a performance for approval. This realization hurts at first, because it forces you to confront a painful question. Were you expressing love, or were you trying to earn validation? Many people discover that their chasing was never about the other person. It was about fear. Fear of being replaced. Fear of not being enough. Fear of abandonment. And fear quietly pushes people into behaviors that sabotage the very connection they're trying to protect. The moment you stop chasing approval, you start seeing relationships more clearly. You notice who reaches out, who reciprocates, who values your time, and who only enjoyed the attention you gave. That clarity can feel brutal, but it's also freeing. Because once you stop performing for someone's affection, something important returns. Your dignity. And dignity is strangely attractive. Not because it's loud, but because it's rare. In a world where people constantly overextend themselves to keep someone interested, the person who remains grounded stands out. They don't beg for attention. They don't compete for affection. They simply offer their presence and allow others to decide if they value it. And that changes everything. Because the truth most people eventually learn is simple. Chasing might win someone's attention, but it rarely wins their respect. And without respect, attraction never lasts.